I know that I made the right choice because by staying here, you have the chance to be a part of something that is low compared to the West, but you can help make it a lot better. If you realize the potential that you have to bring change, a positive one, you can end up being more happy because you can give more to the community and to society in general here. Plus, it's for me as a Bulgarian, that's my society, so that's the most meaningful.
This is the Back to Bulgaria podcast. Discover life in Bulgaria, one story at a time. Welcome to Back to Bulgaria, the podcast where anyone can better understand what life is like here in Bulgaria. I am your host, Katia Andreeva, a crazy American-born Bulgarian who has lived in many different cities, and now I can officially say that Sofia is my home. Together with my sister, who's just as crazy, we've decided to start this podcast to share the stories of people who have decided to move or stay in Bulgaria and are now doing some awesome things in this country. Together with our guests, we'll discuss the things that matter to people who would like to move to Bulgaria. From the basics of living here, to starting a business or career, to relationships. We cover it all here. That being said, I'm really excited for what we're going to talk about today with our guest, Bogdan Rizov. So Bogdan here today, he is an entrepreneur who has done some interesting projects and now has some interesting companies here. He is the co-founder of Sketch, co-working space Sketch, as well as he's starting some businesses in different industries such as the health industry, where he's trying to disrupt some things there. He'll let us know more about it. And also he is someone who has decided to stay here. He'll share a bit why and what he plans to do in the future. So, hey, Bogdan.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm fine. You?
I'm doing good.
On this rainy day.
Yeah, the rain. It's.
Yeah.
I hear it's a bit. Well, everyone says it's normal for it to rain in May, but.
Yep.
But is it normal to be this cold? Is the question.
Well, it's not that cold, actually. I think it's cool.
I was wearing my winter a big jacket yesterday.
Well, yesterday I thought it was gonna be very cold, but it turned out to be kind of hot. So yeah, we've got that kind of weather.
Yeah, today the person who's helping us produce, he was saying we're going to start becoming more like London, have a British weather, British economy.
Who knows, global warming, you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's one of the things that are said to be good about Bulgaria, the 4 seasons that we have here.
Yeah, the fact that you can go skiing, you can go to the beach.
Yeah.
You can enjoy the rain. You can enjoy the flowers.
Yeah, if you don't like the Bulgarian seaside, you can go to the Greek one too.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. A little bit of a controversial topic, but yeah, it's true. So let's talk a bit about your life. Can you share with us where you studied, what you're doing?
Mm-hmm. So I was born in Sofia and I've lived here all of my life. I went to a normal school back in the days.
What does that mean, normal school?
Like a state school without a specific discipline that you send your kids there to study, like a regular block school.
Okay.
For my high school, I went to the American College of Sofia, which is, I still believe, the best place in Sofia to send your kids to.
Yeah. Why? Why is it so good?
Well, it was, and I still think if you can afford the school, even if you can't, they give a lot of scholarships. It's a very good place to go because it teaches you a lot about stuff that you wouldn't otherwise learn in a non-private school in Bulgaria. And even from the private schools, it's I believe the best one because it's just a good school that even kids without that much money can get accepted into because of the scholarship programs, and it's not like pashy private elite.
Okay, so you went to high school there, and what were your plans for the future?
My plans, initially I wanted to I was interested in something in the sphere of the health sciences, like biology, even chemistry. I actually took a lot of chemistry classes as a discipline I specialized into. But I was never interested in one sphere, so I never had an idea of what type of career I wanted to pursue when I grew up. I just went through school with no prejudice, and this is a thing my parents probably helped me for. They didn't push any sort of career path upon me.
So your life was an open oyster. You're like, okay, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want, but the question is what?
Yeah, which can become very problematic at some point. I wanted to change the world through, helping people live, but then I figured out I would not be able to discover a medicine that would save lives at the age of 25 or 30, and I would need to spend all of my life in a laboratory, and that didn't seem like the thing I wanted to do. So I got more interested in economics, finance, that sort of thing. Then I thought, well, I can go do the financial career in a place like London. But I, at some point, started to dislike that idea too. So I figured that I wanted to do something which seemed more close to the reality I lived in. And that's when I started thinking about staying here and actually pursuing a path in life that would be mainly centered here in Bulgaria. For many reasons, I decided to study the financial thing, but as a second option, and my first option was to study construction management. I went for it, and that was a huge crash because I went from the high school that I went to a university that was supposed to be and is honestly one of the best in Bulgaria. But this specific curriculum that I chose was a newly developed thing within the organization of the university. So the tutors had, a lot of them, no idea what was happening. And there were some people who didn't show up from the tutors. And yeah, that's when we started dropping out from the program. And yeah, I dropped out there. But I did pursue the construction career, developing a residential, construction development. I mean, I worked that thing for a year or two, and that brought me in the real estate sector, and from then that brought me to co-working spaces.
So let's try to, I have a few questions from what we just discussed here. You said you wanted to do something that is your reality, part of your reality. What is your reality here in Bulgaria?
Well, my experience is probably a bit different from most of the people you've probably interviewed or going to interview, because I didn't come back from somewhere else, but I decided to stay here. So for me, it was more like, should I take this huge leap to go to somewhere multiple times more expensive to sustain, to study, without having any income? And that I didn't like the idea of having to waste time on something that might not turn out to be the most effective for me. So yeah, when I say reality, you're allowed, and it's a good thing to have dreams, but there is the other thing, which is the reality, and you still need to abide by the rules and constraints that your own reality, puts on you. You need to make plans for how to use what you already have. Yeah, of course, you need to develop more skills, more open views about everything about the world, about life. At the age of 18, 19, when you're making those decisions, at this age you already probably know what you can do and what you can't. So you need to choose from what you already have and try to make the best out of it.
But from what I hear, it sounds like you had the opportunity and you probably could have done well abroad. You would have gone to a good university. Sure, you would probably have to work something on the side. So compared to that and the choice that you decided to stay here and to try to develop your the early 20s here, how does that compare? What are the opportunity cost that you had of staying here instead of going abroad?
Yeah. I know that I made the right choice because many people who went abroad didn't end up there. Most of my friends who went abroad actually came back to Bulgaria. A lot of them came back because they couldn't sustain themselves, in the more expensive West. But some of them just came because it was, easier to be here. Yeah, I see that. It's it's true.
Going in that direction. So staying here, you had great opportunities here. Can we discuss a bit about by choosing to stay here how it helped you develop?
So Bulgaria is behind the Western Europe, America, in most things. Yeah, actually all of them. So
Okay.
by staying here, you have the chance to be a part of something that is low compared to the West, but you can help make it a lot better. This makes you be more responsible as a person, and if you realize the potential that you have to bring change, a positive one, you can end up being more happy because you can give more to the community and to society in general here. Plus, it's for me as a Bulgarian, that's my society, so that's the most meaningful. I mean, the most meaningful community to help.
Yeah, so by staying here you had the chance to or you have the chance to develop and also help promote some kind of change, bring in some good positive energy into the society and hopefully create a community where people are doing some
Yeah, because
good
people,
things.
as much as all the economic system is transactional, we also by doing things and services we help each other apart from the main idea of the service that we're doing. So there is always this residual help and serving that you bring. I believe it's better to give that residual help to your home country.
So you realized this already at 19 when you graduated that, okay, I want to stay here because I want to be a part of something where I'll have impact or.
Well, at 19, it wasn't, yeah, at 19, it wasn't the impact that, that was motivating me. But you realize that as time goes on, because people are always looking for a meaning, for a deeper meaning. At 19, I had the options to stay, yeah. Also, I didn't believe, because as a kid, I did go out of the country, enough. So I knew what life out there was about. And it didn't seem, that much better. Yeah, the big cool cities of the world are very big and very cool. But what you do, you're still constrained by the same 24 hours. And your bedroom is probably the same size, like no matter where you live in the world, and you probably still socialize with the same number of people no matter where you live. So it's not that huge of a difference where you are.
So you had some experience. You went you tried university for a little bit in this new program of construction. You went a little bit into the real estate business, it sounds like. What did you do in the real estate industry?
So I first worked for a residential development here in Sofia.
What did you do there?
Administrative work mainly, dealing with institutions here in Bulgaria, because that's
Well, that's
a fun
interesting.
part.
What did you feel about how does real estate and administrative work with the government go about? Is it difficult?
Yeah, well, as long as you don't mess with the wrong person, you're gonna be okay. But this is a stereotype about Bulgaria. I think that oh, this, unofficial things, all of them are messing around with people. Yes, they are, but I believe they exist anywhere. Probably you know more about America, but I think you can find your way uh, around any constraint if you are motivated enough, and you can find it, without doing anything wrong. So, yes, it might be hard, but you still have to do it. So, yeah, no excuses.
I think that's true that there's many things. A lot of people tend to believe Bulgaria, if you want to get anything done, you kind of have to go behind the door, you have to, or under the table to get something done. But from what I'm hearing from a lot of people, you can do things the right way. It's just you have to be insistent and
Yeah.
consistent. So people know, oh, with this person, I need to act accordingly. They're not going to give a bribe, or they're not going to do something gray. They want to do things the right way. And then they start acting with you accordingly.
Yeah, and you build a name for yourself and a reputation of being, the way you should be. And that's how you succeed.
Which always probably isn't easy, right? To try to do things the right way, because it's probably tempting sometimes to, hey, it could be easier.
Yeah. But as I said, I think it's quite the same thing anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Completely true. And then from real estate, you got this idea about doing co-working spaces.
Yeah.
How did you get into that idea?
So that thing started with a friend of mine from high school. We went into the venture together and co-founded it. And we initially had to do a lot of manual work. Yeah, that was quite hard. And then when you have a thing that's your own, you need to work around the clock. So that's the hard thing about your own business. But I think it pays. Of course it pays.
Definitely pays off. But why co-working spaces? Do you see anything in Sofia that shows you that co-working spaces will work? Or what gave you the idea?
Well, yeah, it was when we started a hot thing. It still is. A lot of places open. When we started it was before the pandemic hit, but we opened after that. So we found a lot of difficulties there. But as time goes on and you do your job, you end up having the success you, probably not the success you initially expected, but you still make it through any hardship, and then you reach the expected thing, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are some challenges you went through in opening your first location?
It took quite a lot to set them up because we had no experience with makeovers of locations. So even my experience was not with refitting places that are already built. That was quite a hassle. Took a lot of time, a lot of budget. Budgets usually when you do that sort of things, they double. What I learned is that the more you participate yourself, the better anything is and becomes. A business, in my opinion, is a thing that's not like a solopreneur thing. But the truth is that when you start something small, it is a solopreneur thing. And you at least need to try to do most of the things by yourself. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't let other people to do stuff they have specialized in, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't pay that kind of people to do stuff more professionally. But when you set aside some budgets for those things to lend over to other people to do professionally, you should try to be there while they do them and to see what they do so that you learn those things. Even when you know you're not going to do them yourself, you still need to understand all the processes in any sort of business. Try to be there for everything, and with time you get better and better.
Yeah. So like you said, co-working spaces are kind of becoming a hot business, let's say, here in Sofia. I feel like every month there's at least one new place opening. What would you say how people act in this industry? Is it like a collaborative industry between the owners of these co-working spaces, or are each person their own? Since it is also quite new still,
Yeah,
I
it
guess a
is.
lot of businesses are coming to Sofia, or businesses are also starting up here in Sofia. So people are looking for these kind of spaces. And my question is there a collaborative effort between the co-working spaces? Do they share any knowledge with each other?
Yeah, we generally share. We're generally a community, but a change that's underway, uh, or has been underway for the last, say, 2 years, is that the sector is seeing more real estate companies and landlords partnering with locations. I mean, with companies by providing them the locations that they have for the co-working companies to develop. And this is a change because it is a sort of institutionalization of the sector. So it gets more professional. It's not the way it has been 10 years ago because it's getting more and more professional and more money is being poured into the sector, not to open new locations, but to give more square footage to co-working companies to manage. So there is an increase in offerings, but because of this, I guess the sector is becoming more stable because you see all these big names of landlords being now the owners of a lot of those locations, and that brings some stability.
Yeah, and that's always in a way good news because that means the market is maturing. There's some standardization.
Yeah.
There's also more trust.
Still, there isn't that much standardization. This is something that probably needs to get worked on. Yeah, in this regard, it's probably not that collaborative so far, but I guess some standardization is going to happen
Yeah,
very soon.
And trust starts building because I can imagine a few years ago people wanting to open up something like a co-working space. The landlord's like, "What is this? What? You want to build a place where people work together?" I get this kind of question from people who don't know what co-working spaces are, and they're a bit older.
Institutionalization part came around from the COVID because a lot of office buildings, administrative buildings, had their tenants flee because they couldn't pay the bills. So they needed to fill up those, the square footage with something, and the co-working model was something that they tried. So they needed to partner with a lot of co-working companies to do that. And that's how it came about.
Yeah. Well, we kind of we went very deep into this. I know you have one more thing that you're working on, which is the health.
Yep. MedGlobe. That's my baby. That I'm having a lot of premature labor pains with, if I can put it that way. I started developing this company that's for helping people find treatment abroad. And that means people from Bulgaria finding treatments for things that they can't cure here abroad in better healthcare systems that have access to those new medications, new medical devices, and more experienced personnel. But also people from outside of Bulgaria using the low prices of services here for stuff like dental, for example. So it's both ways, but it's still not there on market. So yeah, we'll see where it will go.
Yeah, it's a lot of different types of things you've been working on from different types of spheres and industries. And it's interesting to see how you're able to manage and somehow work on these ideas and turn them into companies, even though they're quite different
Yeah, but still, I was interested in biology mainly as an adolescent, not medicine, but still the life sciences. So I guess that's where it came about.
Yeah. And it's great that you found a way that you can manage both sides of your brain in a way.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, with all of your experience of living here now and also being abroad, you've visited abroad, you've been to different countries within Europe.
Yeah.
What do you wish our audience knew about Bulgaria?
Bulgaria is a place that's underdeveloped, which means there is a lot of stuff you can do here. You can do it at a fraction of the cost. You can do it in England, in the US, in the Netherlands, in France, Germany, etc. It still has people who are kind. Many people say that Bulgarians are very nice people. A lot of people say it's the opposite, but but I guess there is a you're always gonna find what you're looking for. We have the benefit of having very cheap education and a very cheap healthcare system. Yeah, we have a lot of the bad things that you see, such as corruption, poor management of public finances, of public spending. But if you are employing yourself or if you have a business, it's a good place to be based in for those reasons that it has the benefit of good people and a good community, especially in the IT sector, but at very low living costs if you decide to base yourself here.
Yeah, that's often what I hear from Bulgarians and also people from abroad who choose to start a business here. They find that it's very easy to meet people, to get good connections, create your network. And also that the reality is that it's still a bit cheaper than Western Europe. I mean, who knows for how long that will continue, but that's still the case. So
Yeah.
they can afford building a startup and building something that they really want to create, to have impact, while not worrying or stressing too much about paying for their rent or their cost of living, because it's an idea more cheaper than abroad.
Yeah.
And then if we move into how you see Bulgaria developing, like you said, there are problems here. It's not all good. But I'd say I've lived in the US, I've lived in the Netherlands. I find problems in those countries that I feel are 10 times bigger than what's happening here in Bulgaria, personally. I feel here most of the problem is just people taking ownership of what they're doing and and also taking ownership of their expectations and what they expect from others.
Yeah.
So if I am someone who believes in X, Y, and Z, I had to be open and to state up and to act accordingly. Like people can say for instance, I am a woman who really believes that business should be done correctly, that I would like good and effective healthcare, and for all administration things to happen digitally, and that I had to no longer worry about, is someone going to bribe me or threaten me if I don't do something? Because these are often things that I've heard of. When I have conversations with people who are Bulgarians in the US or abroad, that's something they talk about, right? That Bulgaria, people bribe you, you can even get threatened. Like these are stories you hear.
Yeah.
But what I'm learning a lot by listening to people who live here and stay here is like, yeah, sure, someone could offer you a bribery, but you could ignore it and just continue doing it correctly. It depends on how you react to the situation, not so much that the person is giving you a bribe. And then maybe this mentality of bribery, of corruption will kind of pass away because people see it's less possible. It's less of an option. People are not agreeing anymore to give me X amount of money just to, I don't know, get my certification that I can open a coffee place or a restaurant.
Though these things with the bribes and corruption, I think they can be your direct problem at a much higher level. I mean, like money-wise. So for normal people, I don't think that's. I don't think they see that thing and they have to deal with that thing. Like, have you ever been in a situation where somebody requested a bribe from you? I guess.
No, me personally, yet no.
Yeah. So, and you see, extortion, but that's in the big business sphere. So, like, people who have many millions and all these big companies. You know the stories from the news. But I guess that also happens everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. It happens everywhere, but that tends to be the topic when people want to move back.
Yeah, it is a topic, but I think it's emphasized too much.
I agree. I agree. It doesn't. It's like people that come here and they're Italians or Spanish people and don't listen to the news, don't speak Bulgarian, so they're not aware as much of these problems. And they love. I mean, they're like, yes, I hear there's something like corruption here in Bulgaria, but I personally have not experienced it. And I think it's more about what's talked about in the media than actual experience.
It's
more now, focusing on what's happening now. Maybe not what was 10 years ago.
Yeah, probably now. There was a lot of those things on the lower level, like a long time ago. But I don't think it exists now.
Yeah. So with all of your ideas and ventures and your beliefs of how you see Bulgaria also developing, what do you expect to happen in the next 5 years?
5 years is a very short
it's short time
frame. Yeah. Well, for me, I have a lot of plans for Bulgaria. My hope is that the country kind of catches up, at least with Romania, because Romania has been growing at a greater speed than Bulgaria in the past decade, which was something that nobody expected because they've always been less developed than us, more corrupt. Now they have a lot less corruption and a lot greater incomes for everybody. We can, rather go down to be on par with Romania in the midterm, probably Hungary, Central Europe, a bit down the road. Now, what the way to do that would be, I think that's not us to say, that's probably the government, so we should give our vote when we can, and that's the main way to influence those things.
Yeah, that's for sure one thing we can do as a society is make sure we're voting. We're an active citizen of Bulgaria as a whole. But also for yourself, if you were to say, I hope I am this in 5 years, how would you finish that sentence?
Well, I hope I am... first of all, like healthy, because as you know, I had this sports injury that quite damaged my routine, my sports routine. So first this, then I hope that I've developed most of the things that I want to develop now, so I can just start working on them for the rest of my life.
And how would you, with these things that you're developing, how would you like to help Bulgaria?
How would I like to help Bulgaria? Well, directly with taxes, directly, and also employing people. Indirectly, I think if you communicate more with everybody else, you can, together as a community, do a lot more stuff and get a lot more stuff done, which in economic terms translates to, greater income for everybody and, more GDP, because a lot of the problems here in Bulgaria come from just people not communicating that much with each other. There is this thing called, stakeholders in a company or in a country or in an organization in general, And the more stakeholders communicate, the more things get done. So whether you communicate more with the state administration, with all the people in the building that you live in, to like get the lift of the building fixed because it's like 50 years old. That's again something that you can do that helps everybody. The general thing is that people here don't talk with their neighbors. Why? This is an easy thing you can do. So yeah, more communication, more just know what you can benefit from and what you can help other people's benefit from, and do those things together.
And that's a great thing to try to be a part of, trying to help communication between people and together getting things done and together
Yeah.
making Bulgaria the place that we want it to be. Awesome. So we have a thing in our podcast where we ask people to draw a question. That's where we are now with this one.
Waiting.
Yeah, you've been waiting. You've been watching the silver bowl right here.
Yeah.
So go ahead and draw a question. Read it out loud.
Oop. So, vacation in Bulgaria, mountains or sea, and why?
Is it a hard question?
No, it's a very straightforward one. That's the thing here, that you can do both. Sofia is 4 hours with a car from seaside resorts, both in Bulgaria and in Greece. That's quite a unique thing. And Sofia is also close to, has mountains in the Balkan Peninsula, the biggest ones too. So whatever you want to do, whether that be seaside resorting or mountain views and tracks, that sort of summer tourism, you can do it. You can also do a lot of cultural things here because, history, archaeological sites, cultural sites. Plovdiv is developing very quickly in the cultural sphere. I'm a fan of Veliko Trnovo. It's a really cool place. We see places that have been forgotten again try to rise from the ashes, like Ruse. It's an architectural masterpiece. And other small towns in the country. If I still need to answer the question, personally, I would prefer vacationing in a mountain in the summertime.
Why?
Well, I'm a skier, so that's the thing I personally prefer. I'm not a fan of swimming in the sea that much, so yeah, it's a personal thing.
Yeah, you prefer the mountains.
Yeah, but
the fresh air.
Yeah, but for foreigners, I think they can use everything here.
I agree.
And that's a total benefit, a positive thing that the country isn't exploiting as much as it should be.
I agree. I don't know if I already said it on this podcast. If I have, I'm just going to say it again. Bulgarians are really bad with their marketing.
Yeah.
And in telling the world about the culture we have, the food we have, the nature we have, the possibilities of enjoying some time in this country.
Yeah.
We're very bad.
Yeah, but not just the marketing. So I'll get back to the topic of everybody not communicating and trying to be in a very closed private thing.
That's true.
Because of this, a lot of construction took place on the Bulgarian seaside that totally ruined it because everybody, for understandable reasons, 20 years ago when this corruption thing was a huge problem, everybody tried to be, their own boss so that they don't deal with all the problems. So everybody tried to build a small family hotel to keep everything in control and nobody messing up with them, which is why a lot of small concrete buildings started popping up. That's a bad thing, but still, we have enough of nature to play around with. We have enough of seaside to play around with. Not everything's been built up. We see the resorts on the seaside that are the most hyped up, changing and switching. Probably,
which is good news.
Yeah, which is good news because it means that people here actually have an interest.
Yeah, it's shifting from
have a taste.
To elaborate, switching from the alcoholic tourism, let's go crazy at the beach, Ibiza party style,
Well,
to something maybe more experience based.
Yeah, it
not
probably
just alcohol.
Still is alcohol based, but a different kind of thing. Young Bulgarians used to go a lot to Sunny Beach. Now they go more to Sozopol and Wozenets and those kind of more underdeveloped places. That might be not so positive though, because it means that we have these huge resorts that are now empty. I guess the country still has to do something about it. But that's again a problem of the country, and some things are too big for individuals to solve and for municipal communities to solve. So we should be responsible with who we vote for on the state level, so that we don't fall in those kind of traps. But also, even if something develops badly, you should still try to do what you're doing in the best possible way. You're still going to find where to spend your time. You shouldn't be unhappy that the country's so bad, la 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 la. There is still a lot of stuff to do. Just do what you like to do, what you can make the most out of, and and you're gonna live quite a happy life here.
That's a great sentiment and great advice to end the podcast on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that input.
Thank you, Kati.
Thank you for joining us. I think our audience learned quite a lot from our talk here. Thank you for giving us insight of what business does look like here. Also, as a student, how a student can make their decisions here, whether to go abroad or to stay here, and how even staying here, though it has its difficulties, offers some good opportunities to grow, and that doing business the right way is possible.
Yeah.
I think our audience got a good mini dive into business life here in Bulgaria. If you guys would like to check out his co-working space, you'll see it down below in the notes, a link to Sketch. He has now how many locations in Sofia?
Oh, just two.
Two?
Just two. Yeah.
2 locations. So I urge you guys to check it out. And if you like this podcast, please don't forget to follow or subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcasts, and also share it with a friend, whether they're living abroad or in Bulgaria. I'm sure they'll find some thought-provoking ideas in this show. Thank you for listening to us, and go out and do something awesome today.